Welcome to the Style Sports Hub, presented by Van Ganaway Chevrolet.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Sports Hub podcast presented by Van Ganaway Chevrolet. I'm your host, Kyle Coppola. Thanks for joining us. This podcast is available on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and any other podcast site you can think of, so make sure to subscribe if you like what you see. Today, we've got Tavares High School with us. It's going to be a lot of fun. Also, want to make sure that you like us on LakeandSumterStyleMagazine.com. Make sure to go on there, visit the Sports Hub section. We got all sorts of student profiles on there for you, sports scores, and a lot more. Today, I am sitting here today with Coach Gavin Jones. Gavin, thank you for coming on the program with us.
Thank you very much for having us. We appreciate what you guys do for the community and everything else. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Coach Jones, you came on this year. I mean, you were in the Tavares community for a while, but you came on this year. You inherited a football program that was 0-10 last year, and you brought them to a 5-5 record this year. A lot of people were doubting that Tavares could even win 3 or 4 games, and you come out and explode. 4 straight wins on the season to start the year off, a 4-0. Talk about your season and the boys and what you instilled to get to that record this year.
It all started, back in spring, when spring football starts, we throw out the expectation, what we expect from the kids and everything. And, then we work out all summer long and the kids put the hard work in, and you can really tell that, it paid off. So basically all the, credit goes to the kids. We just get them lined up and they just do what we ask them to do and play hard and just don't quit and keep going, till the end of the game. We had a chance to make the playoffs going into the last week of the season, 0-10 from almost getting in. If we would have beat Ishridge, we would have got in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. So that's, goes to the kids for their hard work and effort that they put into it all, starting back in May and then all summer long.
Yeah, and for you personally, this isn't your first go around with Tavares High School. You coached them in the mid 2000s, 2010s period, and you averaged right around that 5-win period. What was it like to sort of be thrown back into the head coaching position here at Tavares High School?
First I want to thank Mr. Stein for giving me an opportunity to get back into it. Because this is my 28th year. I don't have much longer left. And I like really doing it. So the kids make it worth my while and everything else. I just couldn't do it last year. I was just wore out so much. So when he came back, and asked me, if I would get back into it, I was like, yes, sir, I'm here to help you out. I'm a team player. So it was good getting back into it.
And you're not just doing the football. You're also the wrestling coach. You also have done a lot with the baseball teams here at Tavares High School. How do you juggle that all?
Yeah, I've been athletic director also, for some years back, a couple years ago, and had wrestling. We started up a wrestling program. This is our 3rd year doing wrestling, and then this year, I got a lot more kids out for wrestling because the word's starting to get out. The kids just got to give it a chance because they've never been introduced to it. So, and the kids that I have out there, they're walking around recruiting kids, and then helping. It helps also being the head football coach. So I got a lot of football players out there also. That's going to help out with football. Wrestling helps out in every sport.
And then you had Trey Hansen actually last year, who was not only a weightlifter, but I believe he was on the wrestling team as well at one point. Can you talk about going through the motions and starting up a program like that, a wrestling program? What were some of the difficulties that you went through, some of the growing pains, and now you're starting to see those numbers of kids wanting to come on board?
Just, getting the numbers out there. You got 14 weight classes, and a lot of kids sometimes don't make weight, and then basically, the IBTs, which is an individual bracket tournament, the kids are just basically individual, but you still get a team score for that also. But what I really like to have is a full lineup for the duels in the case that, other teams got a lot of holes in their lineup. You can sneak wins that way also because that still goes on your win-loss record as an overall as a team. So just getting the numbers was kind of hard at first, and of course, Trey was our first ever, district champion in wrestling. His first year that he even did wrestling was a district champion. That's a very good accomplishment that young man has.
Yeah, and he went out to college actually as well. So he became one of the first ones to get a scholarship for wrestling.
Well, it was for
Cool.
weightlifting.
For weightlifting,
yeah,
excuse
weightlifting.
me.
Yes, sir.
So that's a really cool and positive thing that that you got going on there. As far as significant moments for you, because you've been coaching quite a while, what kind of moments have stuck out at Tavares High School for you? Do you have any favorite moments that maybe it's this year, maybe it's previous years that you've?
I mean,
been
there's a
part of?
lot. I really can't think of any off my head. But there's been a lot of good accomplishments. Baseball, when I was doing that last couple years, this is my second year not doing it for a while. We made the playoffs 2 years in a row. Of course, we run up against the juggernaut Bishop Moore every year. It seems like when we get to the baseball playoffs, but we held our own against them. A couple years ago, like we lose them 3-0 in the first round, which is pretty good. Going against Bishop Moore. Mm-hmm. So that was pretty good, and this year getting back into football, like I said, from 0-10 and to almost getting in, and so that would have been a big accomplishment in itself. But back when I used to do it football, we had that big conference years ago, basically when every week was about a district game. Now you only got so many district games with this new system that they have in place. So hopefully that's going to change, moving forward, because I know the FHSA is looking at some new plans and all that, to change everything up again because, they do that every 2 years. So we don't know what to expect this, around Christmas time is usually when the new format comes out for playoffs and football and things like that.
Yeah, it should be interesting what they're able to do next year. That brings me to another question. Football, the game of football, has evolved. Even in the last 10 years, it's evolved quite a bit. As far as your career, how have you adapted to those changes? Being out of the game for just about 10 years, I would say, you come right back into it. What changes did you have to make, if any?
I don't think it's so much the kids that change. I think it's the parents that have changed, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? We got to hold these kids accountable, and that's what we're doing. And we're going to do it, the right way, and that's just the way I believe. And if you're not going to do it the right way, what I ask you to do, then you're not going to be around my program. So I've got to, watch what I say, how I say it, things like that. And but that's just the way it's going to be.
That you're not going to sugarcoat it for them,
No, I do not.
Yeah,
you can ask Jeremy over here. He plays football and wrestles for me.
We're gonna talk to Jeremy in just a little bit here. He's a little bit off camera. We're also going to be talking to Asher Walker as well. But I'm really looking forward to that. Running back, you had Tyler Davis. He ran for over 1,200 yards this year. Kid is a stud. I haven't seen a running back like that at Tavares in quite some time. And Tyler Davis goes out there. I was impressed with you guys that you were able to establish a running game this year, a passing game. I believe your quarterback Landon Papineau had almost 1,000 yards on the season. Talk about your offense this year and how you were able to score points, because last year that was really difficult to come by.
Yeah, last year, out of 10, they scored 70. This year we put 200-something points on the board. We just tried to mix it up a little bit. We got that fast pace going, and we thought that's how we were going to try to make everything equal for us, trying to wear the defenses down and things like that. And that helped us out. Like you said, Tyler had over 1,200 yards. I think it was 11 or 12 touchdowns. And then, we have a quarterback that's never even played before. This was his first year playing football.
Wow.
So we had that to deal with also. And, he's a senior, so we're not even going to have him back next year. So we're going to have to replace, the quarterback spot again, which is a big spot on the football team, because they're leaders and things like that. So hopefully we get somebody that steps up and wants to take that role over.
Yeah, looking forward to what Tavares has coming for. Final question for you, Coach. What advice would you give to aspiring young athletes coming through the program that want to play football for Tavares High School?
My thing is, I've always said it, I really believe in that you have to play as many sports as you can. I just don't put all your eggs in one basket. Like, you got kids that just want to play basketball. You got kids that just want to play football, baseball, wrestling, whatever. I say you put your name out there as much as you can get out there. Give yourself more opportunities to be seen, get more scholarships. And those colleges really like the multi-sport athletes instead of just one kid sticking to one sport.
Great advice. Great advice. Coach Jones, thank you so much for coming on our program, giving us a little insight into the Tavares Athletic Group.
Well, thank you very much for having us, and thank you for what you do in the community. Thank you very much.
Appreciate it, Coach. Coming up next, we're going to be talking with Tavares High School's Jeremy Batista right here on the Sports Hub. Are you in need of a new car or truck? Then zoom into Van Genaway Chevrolet, a company that has always been driven by superior customer service. Van Genaway Chevrolet is your hometown Good Folk Chevrolet dealer. The dealership has helped generations of Lake County families find the perfect car, truck, or SUV. After 37 years and thousands of Chevrolets sold, Van Genaway has learned a lot about their customers. They don't want to be pressured, and they don't need a gimmick or giveaway. They just want fair prices and a great overall car buying experience. If you've had bad experiences purchasing automobiles elsewhere, then switch gears and try Van Genaway Chevrolet. Chances are you'll end up being a part of the ever-growing family of satisfied and loyal customers. Check out Van Genaway Chevrolet at vgchevy.com or call them today at 352-343-2400. Van Genaway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Welcome back to the Sports Hub podcast presented by Van Genaway Chevrolet. I'm Kyle Coppola. Thanks for joining us. Right now, I am joined by Tavares High School's Jeremy Batista. Jeremy, welcome to the Sports Hub. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Jeremy, you're involved in quite a few sports here at Tavares High School, but one of them, of course, you have the shirt on, is the wrestling club, or the wrestling group now, that they play in the FHSAA the last 3 years. Can you tell us about the wrestling group and how did you get involved in wrestling?
So when I first started, it was last year, the beginning of last year, end of the football season. Coach Jones, he was just here. Coach Jones, he was like encouraging me to go join the wrestling team. I wasn't so sure about it. I wanted to go watch a couple of practices. I said to myself, it looked pretty fun. So I went out to go try it.
Yeah, you went out and tried out for the team. You made the team.
Yeah, I made the team.
Which is really cool. Tell us about that first season, because what were you involved with before wrestling? What sports have you been playing?
My plan for the year was to just play football, do weightlifting, and then try to do spring baseball, try out for the team. Unfortunately, I didn't make the team for spring baseball. I'm going to try again this season. But yeah, we were doing football. I was on JV and varsity. I was the 6-quarter rule, one of those players. And then second half of the varsity season, I was starting at tackle.
That's awesome. So you found a love of weightlifting. We just talked to Coach Jones, and Coach Jones, an amazing guy. Speak to your coach about Coach Jones. Why do you like playing for him?
I like playing for Coach Jones because, like he said, he doesn't like sugarcoat anything. So he's straight up with you. He tells you what he needs done and like what you need to improve on. Like the beginning of this season, I was starting H-back, so basically like a blocker for running back, fullback, kind of. And I was there for the camp that we went to during the summer and the first preseason game, and then my blocking wasn't up there. There was people that blocked better than me, so I got replaced. I just worked at it. And I got my spot back, and then I lost it again.
But it's about hard work, right? And that's what Coach Jones has instilled in his players, and really in Tavares High School as well, especially with the wrestling program. I mean, what is wrestling like? What is the training like compared to football? And then you go right into wrestling season. I mean, it must be pretty high intense, and intensity will pick up during wrestling season.
Yes, sir. It is really intense. It's completely different. Like stamina you need for football and wrestling. Wrestling is like you're going at it. You're aggressive with people, just like hands on. Football, you get that little break in between the break. Wrestling, you just got it's 2 minutes, 3 rounds. Just going at it, trying to get the guy on his back.
Yeah. What's the camaraderie like on the team? As far as the group, the team goes, because wrestling is kind of like that individual sport, but it's also a team sport. So what is that kind of like as well?
We're like a big family, and like the new guys are trying to get them like outside activities too out of wrestling, and we all like sometimes we go out to eat. Like if you made weight, you could go out to eat, but like you can still go out to eat, and then we just like hang around school. Veterans, basically what I'm going to call them, and then the new guys, the veterans teach the new guys the basic stuff and some other stuff like cradles, like normal power halves, reverse halves. And like, just coach him up basically with Jones.
What's the most challenging part of being on the wrestling team for you?
I would have to say the wrestling offs and the making the weight, because like you look at something that looks good, you want to eat it, but then you realize you have to be 190 pounds the next day, so you have to really watch what you eat. You can't really just like go out all the time.
Yeah, and I guess this year the FHSAA, what they're doing is they're doing a little bit different of weight classes this year as well. Can you talk about that?
Yes, they have changed some of the lower weight classes, but I don't really like know them off the top of my head. But one big weight class impact for me is the 180. They took out the 182 weight class, and they just have the 175 and the 190. So I'm like in between the range. So right now I weighed in at 186 this morning, and I still don't know if I want to drop down to 175 or just wrestle 190.
Now you're a big kid, so
Yeah.
I mean, you could go either way. I would imagine. But as far as motivation, how do you stay motivated out there? Because there's times when it gets really challenging out there on the wrestling circuit out there. What is your driving motivation every day when you wake up?
My motivation is my mom. She pushes me to do everything I could. Get farther than what she tells me. She tells me to get farther than she has, because we weren't so good going up. And then the losses I take too in wrestling makes me like last year I wrestled this one kid like 4 or 5 times, and I was not going to lose to him that last time, but unfortunately I came up short.
What's been one of your favorite moments wrestling so far in your career? Have you had anything that really sticks out for you?
Yes, sir. The districts, my first district, first time wrestling last year, came second place. There was kids that wrestled longer than me. I still beat them. Then there was that one kid from the village that I could not beat.
Yeah, Village is pretty good. They're coming up through the ranks too. They're always pretty good. Tavares, of course, just in their 3rd year here in wrestling. So really exciting things, Jeremy. As far as that goes, what do you like to do when you're not when you're not out there on the wrestling circuit, or when you're not on the football field or baseball diamond? What else do you like to do? I
like to play basketball sometimes. Got a hoop in the back of my house.
Nice.
And just play basketball. Go outside, throw the baseball with my little brother. Play the game with my little brothers, and then just clean around the house.
Yeah. What else are you involved with at Tavares High School too? Are you involved with any clubs or activities or anything like that?
No, not really. I just came to the school my freshman year.
Oh, very nice.
Junior. It had me time to get some of the groups, but not really any of the groups I know about right now.
What role do your coaches play in your development as well? Coaches are so important. Of course, Coach Jones, we talked to earlier on the program, he just instills the discipline in his players no matter what it is. What do your coaches preach to you?
My coaches, like through football season, they've like pushed us, brought us together as a family, because last year we weren't really, it was like groups. This year we were all one. And then wrestling wise, they push me to do the best I can. Weightlifting, I don't really, because I only did a little bit of the weightlifting, because wrestling and weightlifting, they kind of intertwine with each other.
What was it like seeing the football team go from 0-10 last season and having a 5-win season this year? That must have felt real good for you.
It has felt good. Our first win against Atlantic, we were all happy. Some of the seniors, crying they haven't won since my freshman spring, so their sophomore spring. We lost both of those games, and then 0-10. So basically went 0-12, as I would say. That
must have been quite the feeling to just have that jubilation of finally getting a win, right? That's really cool, and just really cool that Tavares is focused on bringing their athletics program really back too, because it had been a while since that football team had a win. So, Jeremy, I want to thank you for coming on to the program today. Really appreciate it, and good luck with your wrestling season as well coming up.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Awesome. Coming up next, we're going to be talking with a swimming state medalist, and that's going to be Asher Walker. He just won a couple of state medals at the FHSAA Swimming Championship, so he's going to be coming up next on the Sports Hub.
Here we go, Billy. Swing hard.
As your local agent, I know you. I know every Saturday your son Billy plays Little League. We sponsor his team. And we know you love parking way too close to the field. That's why we tailor a unique policy for you and your car. Because sometimes something from out of left field can literally come from out of left field. That's simple human sense.
Ask Lassiter Ware in Leesburg if auto owners make sense for you.
We are back here on the Sports Hub podcast presented by Van Ganaway Chevrolet. Right now, I am joined by Tavares High School's Asher Walker. Asher, thank you for coming on to the program.
Of course, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Asher is a swimmer at Tavares High School. Obviously, you can tell by your shirt that you have on there. You're just coming off of the state championships. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, sir. It was extremely competitive. It was about 32, 24 kids for each event. You know, we all fought to get into the final spots, making it top 16 to make it back to the night finals, which were a lot of fun. And the energy always in the night finals is just fantastic and, you know, undescribable.
Yeah, and you did pretty good. You brought home some hardware. Tell us about the hardware you brought home.
Yes, sir. I for the first event, it wasn't my favorite. I got 7th place, and I wasn't too happy about that. So I said to myself, I got to bring it home. You know, I got to do the best I can. And I ended up coming home with a bronze medal, which was really great.
It's fantastic. And especially for Lake County, you made all of Lake County proud, representing us out there at the state championships. You've been swimming for quite a long time. How long have you been swimming for?
Right around 3rd grade, sir.
3rd grade. So he's been going at it for a while. And you swim with Tavares, but you also swim down in the Orlando region as well and train down there. Can you talk about that?
Yes, sir. I train in Claremont at the National Training Center with my head coach, Don Gibb, and I've been training there for the last 5 years. And it has really increased my strength and my speed. And I feel like I learn every day, learn more new things every day.
Don Gibb is an impressive guy. If you don't know who Don Gibb is, you should Google him. Quite the impressive coach you have down there. What's it like working with Coach Gibb?
It's definitely hard work. He makes sure that you give it your best, and he always looks out for you. He's more than a coach. He's definitely an advisor as well, and I look up to him as a role model. What kind of training does he have for you, or what kind of training does he have compared to the Tavares swim team as far as that goes? Lots of yardage for sure. Usually, I think the most we've ever trained was just under 8,000 yards. Oh, wow. Yeah. That's quite a lot. Get you ready for the short sprints, I would imagine. Oh, yes, sir. Usually when we're getting around to big competitions like state, we always shorten the practices. You know, we take out morning practices for the first, and then we limit the practice time from 2 hours to around just an hour, where it's mainly working on technique, stuff off the blocks, and just getting ourselves prepared and rested for the competition. Yeah, and rest you did, and you ended up doing really good in the state competitions, which is fantastic. As far as you as a swimmer, it's an individual sport, but it's also a team sport together. How do you balance that as far as your individual swimming, and then if you're involved in relay events as well? I would say it's not too difficult because it's always fun swimming a relay with the guys. I always feel like we've done good with them throughout the years, especially my freshman year. It was one of my favorite relays of all time. We came out of nowhere and placed 6th place in our state champs. And, I mean, that was definitely an unforgettable memory right there. So I feel like the relays are a lot more fun than the individual events because you have to depend on each other and hype each other up. Yeah, that's really cool as far as the team aspect goes, because you see it in the Olympics as well and all of that with the Michael Phelps and what he was doing all of those years. Who are some of your role models that you've had in your life? My life, I would say definitely my dad, for sure. He's got to be number one. And then, of course, my mom, who's been a big supporter throughout not just swimming, but in my life in general. But if I had to talk about favorite swimmers, definitely Caleb Dressel, for sure. Dressel, he's a pretty good swimmer there
As far as your dad goes, because I know it's a kind of a difficult subject. If you feel comfortable talking about it,
No, of course.
by all means. Can you talk about your dad and kind of the things that you're involved with as far as Tavares High School goes?
No, yeah. I mean, as I mentioned in the article, my brother at birth passed away. So my dad now, I consider him my full blood dad because he came in at a time where my mom and I needed him the most, and he's taught me, everything that I need to know about being a man. And he's the big reason why, I'm here today and who I am now. And I guess, with that experience, I decided that I want to make the best difference I can by joining such a great program as You're Not Alone. It's a suicide prevention program.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to look out for those who feel like they're alone and don't have a voice in this world. And, it's our job to show them that they aren't alone.
Yeah, and that's a fantastic program that Tavares has, and I know a couple of other programs around have those particular programs. Are you a leader of that program? And now that you're a senior, how has the program maybe developed or grown since you've been a part of it?
I would say it's grown a lot, especially in memberships. We've had, I think, 5 new people join in the last meeting, I would say. We're doing fun stuff like Fun Fridays at school where we, host like cornhole, make little games. It's a lot of fun.
As far as rituals before you get into the pool as well, what do you do as far as pregame or pre-swim rituals as far as you're concerned? Do you listen to music? Do you kind of just chill, try to relax as much as you can?
I definitely listen to music. I really, especially if it's for a big competition, I just put my earbuds in and I don't really talk to anybody. I definitely talk a lot after the race for sure, but before it, I don't talk to anybody at all. I just kind of wanted to get into my zone and envision what I want.
How is it different than going up in a district meet and then you go up against these kids at like a state meet? I mean, the competition must be incredible because some of these kids are going to be swimming in probably Division I programs. Hopefully, we see you in maybe a Division I.
We'll see. The season isn't over yet, so. But it's definitely a different field and a different aspect of competition because, everybody is a little bit laid back on district. District is just kind of to make it, and state, is to take it.
As far as the pool goes, because I see a lot of outdoor pools, but there are also some indoor pools. What's it like swimming in an indoor pool compared to an outdoor pool? Is there a difference?
Cold. Very cold. It was freezing because this was the first year that States was indoor. And I've been to that pool plenty of times, and I love that pool very much. But I think it was extremely cold. They had a really big fan in the corner, and then the open door, like big open door on the other side. So everybody was just getting the cold air. It was freezing, but it was a fun time.
Yeah, it was a fun time for everybody, and I did want to touch on a subject. You lost your longtime coach for Tavares High earlier this year. Can you talk about your coach and what he meant to the program?
Coach Johnson meant everything to the program. Without him, we wouldn't have even had a program. No one else really wanted to do it. No one else wanted to coach swimming, and he decided to take it to his own hands and coach us. He would sit out with us at practices and encourage us at meets. So if anything, he was the heart and soul of the program.
Yeah, and I know that was a difficult situation when that happened for Tavares High School, but hopefully winning that medal was a little bit of a consolidation for you as well. Winning that for Coach Johnson, because he meant a lot to a lot of people. So as far as going forward for you, what are you looking at? You're going to be graduating here in the springtime. What do you have going on? What do you want to study? Where do you want to go? Do you have any offers anywhere?
No offers for sure. We're still kind of looking into that, but right now I would really want to study physiology, which is specifically in physical therapy. I've always wanted to study physical therapy, be involved in both the medical world and the athletics world.
Absolutely. And then one final question I have for you. For kids that are coming up through the Tavares program, or if they're young swimmers, what is your advice that you would instill for them?
Consistency is key. Consistency is going to get you so much farther than anything well in life. All you have to do is just keep showing up, keep practicing, give it the best you can, and eventually you will get the results you've always wanted.
Wise words as well. Asher Walker, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you for coming on to the Sports Hub program.
Of course. Thank you so much for having me, sir.
Absolutely. Well, we wish you the best of luck in the rest of your 2023 and 2024 season, where you're going to wrap up school and head off to college. So looking forward to some great things out of you coming up very, very shortly. We're going to come back in just a moment and wrap up the Sports Hub next. All right, we are back on the Sports Hub podcast. Thank you guys for joining us today. We had a lot of fun talking with Tavares Athletics today, and we wish them the best of luck on the rest of their season. Thank you to Van Ganaway Chevrolet, Lake Center Home Care, Lake Sumter State College, Lassiter Wear, and Auto Owners Insurance for everything they provide to us as well. We'll see you next week on the Sports Hub.
This has been the Style Sports Hub, presented by Van Ganaway Chevrolet.